Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. Father Bob here with the South Campus show this week, reporting in at on the east side of Lake Auburn, gorgeous home on the other side, with parishioner Greg Pavette, who's our guest today. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Father. It's such an honor to have you here today. Super excited to learn about you.
Thank you, Greg. And Greg has been about some incredibly good work over the last few months, and it's kind of started with a dream. And Greg, tell us about how the idea of Humanity Alliance get started.
It was planted in my heart. So after a for-profit career of about 28 years, God had a different plan for me. And he said, I'm going to show you the gaps, and you're going to, you have two choices, Greg, and that second one doesn't count. So please go and do my good work. Jesus showed us the way. He said to go to where the pain was. And we started out on that journey back in 2018, and here we are today.
I love the name of that you gave, Humanity Alliance. How did you come up with that?
It came to us. So that 3 a.m. prayer time when you wake up is when I received the most. And Heidi and I, my wife and I, were working on what's the next name, what's the name. We thought this unity was important. We thought humanity played a role. And then we wanted to make sure the alliance piece. So it wasn't about Greg and Heidi. It was about something bigger. And bringing multiple groups together was really important.
Great. So explain a little bit, what is it Humanity Alliance does, and how do you fill the gaps?
So the gaps, we look at two things. We look at the need. So we start with where is the need, and we go to where the most pain is, as Jesus showed us. So go to where the pain is. And then we look at the gaps. So where are the gaps within the need? We started on nutrition, led by a group of high school students. So it was really interesting. The high school students raised their hand, and within 10 minutes of speaking with them, we said, what do you want to launch? New product, what do you want to launch? 10 minutes, Father Bob. They said, we need access to nutrition. And you could see the fear in their eyes. Their families are falling apart due to chronic disease, cardiovascular disease, diabetes. So the students knew something's not right. They just need some tools. So we set out on this journey. This is an example of some of the food that was coming to the students or families in need. And what we saw, two things. One is very difficult to see where the nutrition is here. There's a little bit, but really, really difficult. And then the other part was the love and dignity was completely missing. So inspired by a group of students, we started that, and we deliver all the meals. This would be an example of a bag where we deliver to your doorstep. So you don't have to come to us or for us to determine when it's time for you to eat. We actually bring that meal right to you. And the weekends are the biggest gap. So a lot of people, and I was one of them, didn't realize that a lot of the food shelves and places where you can eat are closed on the weekends. So this comes on a Friday, delivers enough meal from Friday to Monday to get you covered.
I'm struck with the idea of go where the pain is. And hunger pains are real. You feel them in your body, and then you go out. And that's, you bridge the gap, and it's not just calories, but nutrition is part of the love basket that you deliver. How many meals do you deliver?
We're serving about 5,000 a week right now. So we're on track this year to 240,000 meals, which is a stunning number. We were at St. Victoria. We worked out of the kitchen, as you know. You welcomed us right in. We served over 50,000 meals out of that kitchen last year. So a little kitchen that you would have thought, well, maybe we could do some funerals and some different things. Nope, that kitchen put together 50,000 meals.
Yeah. So 5,000 meals, logistically speaking, that's staggering.
Yes.
How do you pull that off?
It's the grace of God. It's by the grace of God every week, Father. I promise you, this is a loaves and fishes. Every week I get to see a loaves and fishes plate. We have a really strong volunteer base that continues to grow. And the Fridays are really interesting. Fridays, although you can see Jesus every day, Fridays on the delivery, you really get to see Jesus up front. And when we started, we think, well, we're supporting or helping the community. Now, the community is actually giving us back tenfold of what we put in. So it's a staggering number. About 50 volunteers spend about 2 hours on average per shift, if you will, every week to get it going.
And, you know, people hear about something like that, and this stirs people, something inside where they say, I want to be part of that. They see goodness, and they see action being taken, and that's very attractive. And so how does, if someone wants to get involved, how do they do that?
I think the best way on our website, which we can post, and Liz has done an amazing job of putting out in the bulletin, on the website, in different ways, social media. The website's the easiest place to go to sign up as a volunteer. And then I think there are, in addition to the nutrition side, one of the things we start to see now is as we deliver the meals, we started to see a bigger gap around accessible housing. So we're sitting in a building that was empty. Mary Mavison played a key role as our former mayor. She put a lot of hearts in our community. This is another heart. I would suggest that Mary's been able to place back in our community an empty building to help with accessible housing.
Well, and let's talk about the building a little bit. Is you're kind of refurnishing and renovating this space so it can be used perfectly. And see, you have a chart in time here.
Yes.
Tell a bit about that.
Yeah, so as we delivered, what we saw was a gap in accessible housing. We saw the nutrition gap, mental wealth, so with a W, around addiction, anxiety, and depression, and then jobs. So under one roof, what we're calling Unity Lodge now, we see where we could be serving the meals, so this would be our commissary. There are 5 rooms, up to 10 beds, for people taking that willing or excited to take that next step. Maybe they've finished a program, whether through the county or somebody like a launch ministry or families moving forward, and now they want to get to that next step. Minnesota Adult Teen Challenge is another great example. This gives them that ability to take that next step. So we've got 5 rooms, up to 10 beds, accessible housing, comes with an invitation on the mental wealth side, and also comes with job programs. So really, really important.
Boy, when you talk about that, I think of, it's about half of Matthew 25. I was hungry, I was thirsty, he gave me shelter, all these things, plus the next steps.
Perfect.
You know, so it's an empowerment model to help people move forward.
The fire's in there. It may have been smoldered, right, or may have been stomped on, but that trauma, right, that we know features in a lot of the communities that we serve is there. But to relight that fire, it doesn't take a lot, and that love and dignity features.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like your term for mental wellness.
Yeah.
So it's the whole person.
Yeah.
You're ministering to beautifully.
Yeah.
Just a little bit about, you got an open space here. What are we going to have here?
Yeah, so this will be an open area. There'll be a kitchen for residents here, and then this will be a place where they can eat as well as hang out in the community. Maybe I'll show you a room. Would you like to see a room?
Sure.
So this is the, again, you said overlooking Lake Auburn. So this would be a double, again, overlooking the lake. Give you a little bit of an idea. Again, it's that next step, and we're not sure how long people will want to stay, but we think it's about a 12 to 18 month window to get enough money saved up to get to that next level. Give me some more tools, please, right? I have a good base, now how do I get to that next step?
Beautiful view, like Auburn, even when it's a rainy day like it is today.
Stunning.
Back here. And Greg, of course, the beyond is the kitchen.
Yes.
Then you're going to expand
Yes.
to crank those, if I could use that word,
Yes.
5,000 meals out. I
Yes.
can't imagine. That's a pretty big size industrial kitchen to do that. And of course, where do you get the backing for all this?
So we pray on our knees almost every second of every day. Some have been coming in from donors, some have been coming in from companies. We're seeing a lot of, it's very interesting, the flooring that we're looking at here was from the Milwaukee Bucks Stadium. So Maureen and Greg Grazzini of Grazzini Brothers, Greg came by, Maureen came by, and they said, hey, I've got flooring sitting in my warehouse that we can use. So again, it's that excess capacity. How do we retool or repurpose some of this? The tile was at the US Bank Stadium, and we'll be able to tile the kitchen with that.
Wow, well, that's networking, it's resourcing, it's thinking big, and everyone has something to offer
Definitely.
too on that. So if someone wanted to help, of course, I'm gonna put in a plug for you, Craig. But
Thank you.
folks, if you want to get behind and support Humanity Alliance in any way, volunteering, financial support so they can expand and get that kitchen built and everything else, be in touch with Greg. You can look it up on the website too, I'm sure. Greg, tell us a little bit about, you bring these meals out, and you said the face-to-face encounters with real life people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got some stories. Can you think of a story that comes to mind for you where you went, this is why we're doing this?
Yeah, it was the first, we were serving, as a small pilot, we were serving a small number of families out of the back of my car. So we've come along
I'll go back to the car.
so fast.
Yeah.
Biggest growth I've ever seen. And somebody was asking, well, why do you deliver to the people? And I said, well, I want you to come with me, deliver to the household that has a family of 11 kids living there, single parent with 11 kids. The first thing the kids did was grab that fresh fruit that I brought in and were gobbling it up. You knew right then and there that you were doing the right thing. That single parent with that number of children, or even if it was 2 children, didn't need to take 2 buses to be able to find food for her family that weekend. And so it really lit that fire. Every Friday, for whatever Monday through Thursday brings us, doesn't compare to what we see on Friday.
I like your image of fire because it's a fire of passion within it that drives you and others who are joining you in this great effort. And I like the idea that you didn't wait till you had the big van. We just started out in the back of your car and went from there, and it grew. That's very much stepping out with faith.
That's the prayer part. We didn't know where there was a period of time we didn't know where we'd live. And within 2 weeks, we're sitting in this gorgeous building on this gorgeous property that backs up to Carver Park. You could have never scripted this one yourself in the 2 million years.
Exactly. And yet, you are a man of deep faith and step out and take the risk. And yet there's challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've identified in this whole thing?
So you have a family, right? So Heidi's my wife, 25 years. We have 3 children. I worked 28 years on the for-profit side, and we did well. And so they said, "Well, Dad, what happened to Dad?" And something
Happened.
right? So if you're some of the kids would say that was good, and maybe others would say like, "What were you thinking?" What's beautiful about that is if I leave tomorrow, I put everything I could into today. So I can only do that, right? That's all I can do. And then it's for them to decide, it's for the community to decide, it's for the people we serve to decide how they take that forward. And I think the volunteering part has touched so many people's hearts. I would have never imagined. And our youngest is 5 years old, our oldest is 92 as a volunteer. And I could sit back and kind of watch that, Father, but the challenges are, you don't know maybe what tomorrow brings. You don't know if you make this timeline. We're trying to get people, we could fill the building today. You could see it needs some work. We're trying to get that started in April, the funding in April, so we can be launched in June. And so we don't know where that comes from, how that comes from, but our prayer, and it's almost like a little Rubik's Cube where you're just unlocking, each prayer kind of unlocks another click in there.
Wow. So, but your way of life is there's no regret. What I hear in this, there's no regrets. You are full throttle ahead in faith, and that's good enough. You don't worry about you don't worry about tomorrow. I mean, maybe a little, but it comes.
Not a lot.
And you've met the challenge there.
Yeah.
So your family, you alluded to what's happened to Dad.
Yeah.
He's a 28 years corporate guy in the private sector, the for-profit, and all of a sudden, it's kind of like, when they're talking about Jesus, he's a lunatic, he's crazy. No, he's onto something.
We're way onto something.
What's your family? What's their role in this? What do they think of all this?
I think we'll all process it at a different, right? On our journey, we're all in different stages. So it's a combination of following the path that's been laid out. I call it a movie, so it's like watching a movie. So I can only show that to them, but I also have to honor their spirit and their journey and where they're at. So it's a combination of getting after it, if you will, because we've definitely gotten after it, but then also honoring their spirit and their journey to where they are, to at least acknowledge whether they believe or don't believe, or like out of the corner of our eye, like, Dad's onto something here. The good news is on the for-profit side, we've done this before, and we've done it in markets that we knew nothing about. So we've stepped into something we kind of know what it feels
You're
like.
bringing the experience of your career to this effort.
And God built that for us, right?
Yeah.
So
And when you talk about your family, it is somewhat rare to be so passionate about something, but to not hold judgment on anyone else who isn't quite there yet.
right.
And that's a balance.
Well, I wasn't there, right? So
Yeah.
how did I get to where I was? So you've gotta, that's that path.
It's very respectful. And so, Greg, this is exciting for me to learn more about. I've learned, we've talked before, but again, it's my first on-site visit. Not my last, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Yeah, this would be
See
great.
this, we'll deliver some meals.
Thank you.
But I really can say our parish, our community is proud of you. You've been a light and a quiet example of this is how I want to live my life. Passionate and making good things happen, as I like to say. But we got time for one last thing. We call it the magic orange hat.
Oh,
That magically is given me. Take a random question. Go
Oh,
ahead.
good. I like
Get
this.
to answer.
All right. Oh, how about that? All right. Name 2 people with whom you would like to spend a whole day. 2 people. That's actually a stumper. That stumps me a little bit. I go to somebody like my dad who's passed but still with us, right? And I see him, whether it's through different things, through seeing the eagle, things like that. And then you go into somebody that's maybe walked this journey, like Dorothy Day. What were you thinking? Who didn't have as beautiful as the story that the narrative that we talk about. Mary comes to mind from Mary's Place, and thinking about Mary Jo Copeland from 37 years ago, where she started out at the storefront. So I do gravitate towards people that have walked the journey in that terms of people that I'd spend the whole day with.
And I'm struck by that is we need people who model the way for us.
Yeah.
And then we go, I want that, and then we do it.
Yeah.
And then maybe we're that for someone else, but that's the legacy, that's how it passed.
Yeah. The other part I do see is the people that we serve, to walk alongside them is really powerful. So we have a volunteer who delivers meals. She delivers meals on the Sea Line for us on the bus. And so I think the other group that I would walk with the people that we're serving, because I think that shows, again, I receive tenfold of what I think I'm showing them to do. I think I see tenfold in that. So I think walking is the general trend there.
Walking in the other's shoes, moccasins.
Right. Thank you.
clothes.
Thank you.
And I don't know, I get so excited, but we can do that and model that as a community, as a faith community, for the world. That's what the world needs.
Yeah.
And anyway, Greg, I've been inspired just listening to you. I want to say, and I think our listeners the same way. Thank you so much for the work you're doing, your family.
Thank you.
Heidi's back there doing the logistics.
Yeah.
You need that kind of person.
Super important.
And you're the visionary and the fire behind it. Thank you for this undertaking, Humanity Alliance, and the work you do for the community, for those who have less, and we're better for it.
Yeah. I think we're just getting started, Father. I think we'll laugh about 5,000 meals, and the Unity Lodge, I think maybe a year, 2, 3 years from now will look completely different as well, to the better of the community we serve. So
Look forward to that, Greg.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks everyone for tuning in with Greg Prevett of Humanity Alliance on the hope to see you next week. God bless everybody.